Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's episode of the truck camper build, we're going to cover two things. First off, I'm going to be showing you a mini tour of the camper. I'm going to get everything out of here, so it's just all the woodwork. I'm going to give you guys a walkthrough of what I've done and what I've got going on here and how I've constructed it and why I've done certain things. Secondly, we are going to talk about all of the toys that are going to be going inside of the camper. So how I'm going to be lighting the camper, how I'm going to be powering it, how I'm going to be heating it. All of those aspects are going to be touched on today. So we've got a lot to talk about. Let's get started. Okay, so while we're outside of the truck, I might as well touch on the tailgate first off. This is a 1/2-inch piece of plywood secured into the tailgate using self-tapping screws. I did apply rubber silicone underneath of the screws, so there's no water actually going to go into that bare metal where the screws go into and then rust out the tailgate. So that has been thought of. The reason why I went with a 1/2-inch plywood on the tailgate, two reasons. One, it really ties in the home feeling. So when this tailgate's shut and you're inside, surrounded by all this natural wood grain, it literally feels like a wood cabin, and it is just so comfortable in there. The other part of this being indoors is it actually reflects a lot of the light. So when I'm inside and I've got a light on, this wood grain helps reflect and bounce that light all the way around the camper, which is really nice. And the functionality of it is it takes out all the ridges in the tailgate. So now I have a large flat surface to do cooking. Whatever I need to do, I can place on a flat surface and use this as a table. So this is really nice to have. And this was actually the last piece that I put on here. This was literally a piece of plywood. I didn't even cut it to fit the tailgate. I put it on the tailgate and this is exactly how it fits. So I said, screw it in there and we're done. So that's the deal with that. Looking up towards the bed, I do have my mattress in here right now. Now this mattress, the bed is 31 inches wide. And I'm not totally sure of the exact length. I'll measure that in a little bit for you guys. But I ended up finding this tri-fold foam mattress. This is a 4-inch thick mattress, and it folds up in 3 sections. I had to cut the end off, and then I folded the actual material underneath of the foam because there is kind of a fitted sheet with the foam. I folded it underneath, and then I stitched it, so it is basically 2 full sections of square foam. And then this end section is a little bit shorter, and it actually fits in the recess that I made with this trim work. So the mattress sits in there nice, and basically it doesn't move around. It doesn't fall off the bed. Right now I do have a wool blanket on top, so this is just kind of a mock-up bed sheet. I am going to be stitching up a set of bedding for this, so a blanket as well as fitted sheets. So this will all be taken care of, but right now it's just set in there just for fitment purposes. So I'm actually going to get the mattress out, and then I'm going to show you guys what's going on with the bed. So this is out of the way and you can see what's underneath and kind of get a better look at the entire camper itself. Okay, so with the bed mattress completely removed out of the camper, we can clearly see where I've put a basically a hidden hatch. So if you guys are following along with the build, you probably remember when I said the entire bed was going to be storage front and back, so the head end and the foot end. I decided against that because the more room you have for storage, the more you're going to store things, and the more clutter, the more mess, and the more weight is going to be added to the truck, which is unnecessary because there's things that don't need to be in here all the time. This is how the camper is going to look like every single day until I go camping, and then I'll bring the stuff out that I need for that specific trip and furnish the camper basically. So I ended up going with 1 compartment. Now this is still not finished. I'm still waiting on 2 actuator arms that are going to hook on here, so when I open this up, it'll stay up. And remember when I said the tri-fold mattress, so it folds almost right on the seam of this door, so it's not like I have to move my whole bed out of the way and create kind of an inconvenience. It literally just folds up. So tri-fold, it'll fold up, and then I gain access to this entire area. And basically what I've done before I show you the inside is I have fixed this long piano hinge upside down. So normally the rolled kind of pin section would be poking up. I actually put that down in between a cut that I ran with the circular saw wide enough to fit that. And the reason why I did that is because these hinges stop at about 90 degrees, and I didn't want the corners of the lid poking into my window screen and ripping that open. Now I am going to have actuators on there, so it can't really go past that limit, but as you can see right now, it stops right there. and then it falls. So that's what the actuators are going to be there for. It's just to hold it so it doesn't fall down. But I do have generous room underneath of the bed. This area is still not finished. I still need to kind of put some clear coat here and there. And then I'm going to be building separators in here for specific pieces of gear. I still got a bunch of tools and whatnot stored underneath of here, but this entire area is totally boxed off from the entire bed. So what is here is here. I can't reach under up into the head end of the bed or anything like that. This is a sealed box that is going to store many things. We'll talk about that in just a little bit, but I do have enough storage for all kinds of goodies under here. So that's the deal with the storage under the bed. We'll move over to the other side and I'll show you the table and the shelving unit. Okay, so looking at the other side of the truck camper, you'll notice that I have 3 individual power stations in here. These range from small, medium to somewhat large. So this is my EcoFlow River Pro. This is my Nitecore NPS 400. And this is my Truck Pal. So that should give you an idea of size. All of these can come out, no problem, leaving an open shelf. So I won't always have all 3 in here, but I figured it's a good enough size reference to show you guys. So this is all boxed in. This trim prevents anything from falling out. And then the tabletop itself is actually not secured. I can push this up, but it's a very, very tight fit. And the reason why I haven't secured that, and I'm not going to, is because this helps me run wiring. So this is going to be kind of the control center of the camper. And we'll touch more on that when I start the segment of how I'm going to be powering the camper, because I think it's pretty clear now how I'm going to be powering it. But we'll cover that in just a minute. So this is removable. The tabletop, I did place this kind of cupboard drawer liner. It's foam. I just placed it on top just so the top of the wood surface doesn't get all scratched up. And it creates a nice sticky surface, so you can actually place things up here. And if I'm fishing at a river and then I find myself jumping in the truck and driving to another location, I don't want to have to clean everything off. This actually really helps secure things from sticking or from falling. It does help them stick. And then the battery banks themselves actually can just stay right in here because that little lip that I put there stops them from falling out. So very interesting design there. But now, like I said, I don't have to have all 3 batteries. I could put whatever I want in there. Typically I put my camera gear in there when I'm sleeping. But that should give you an idea of that. And then way down here, I have a cubby that is open from the top to the bottom. And there is a reason why I have this here, and I'm going to save that for another episode. But there is enough room in there that if I do want to move, let's say I want to put a battery unit down here, I can put it down there, and then there's still room up top. So there is room for taller objects rather than just shorter objects. So that's an option. And then, like I said, the tabletop, very secure. Loads of room in here for doing all kinds of cooking, organizing, whatever I got to do inside, I can do that. To add to the table, I actually made a little piece out of a scrap piece of plywood. And so basically, this is my sitting area. So when I want to sit down and relax, I've got like a foot of headroom above my head just sitting here. And I am absolutely, totally comfortable. But the one thing I'm missing is a table. So I took a piece of scrap plywood and I cut this little notch into it. And this notch corresponds with this cabinet. So if you guys can picture, the bed mattress would still be on the bed. This just tucks underneath of it. And then I simply slide it out and move that battery unit down. And this corresponds with that cut. It is a bit of a problem with 2 batteries though, so I'll move this out of the way. Like I said, typically I only have 1 battery in here, but move that out of the way so you guys can see. This notch corresponds with this 90-degree elbow. So like I said, just imagine the bed mattress is still here. Now I've got a full table. I could be sitting here eating ramen noodles like I usually do. I could have my laptop out here. I could be doing my photo editing. I could do whatever I need to do right here on this tabletop. Super simple, no hardware, and it just slides right underneath of the bed. And the beauty of this is I can actually flip it over. Now this side's not finished yet. I have to sand it and varathane it. And then I can slide it forwards to lock into this 90-degree angle, and it will fit in there much the same way. It'll just be at that end of the camper. So I thought this was a pretty neat idea to build in a nice flat table, and I can just chill out here and enjoy the view out the back and all around. I got 360-degree view with the windows in this build, so really happy about that. So let me get this out of the way and kind of give you guys a straight on shot and show you a little bit more of the camper before we start talking about some of the toys that are going to be going in here. Alright, so coming back outside, give you guys that straight on view. There is one thing I will point out about that cabinet in correspondence to this bed. I'll let you guys look at it really close and see if you guys can pick it out. Give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you found it, drop it down in the comment section. I'm going to point it out in just a minute. Before I do, I'm going to give you guys the measurement of the bed. Like I said, I want to give you the actual length because my truck bed is 6 foot 4 inches long. I should mention that. And I stopped the build right at the 6 foot line, so I do have 4-inch gap from the edge of the bed to the basically where the tailgate would shut. And even with this plywood on there, when I shut the tailgate, with the thickness of this trim, I still have 3 inches to tuck whatever I want to tuck down in there if I need to. And before I forget, I did put a tailgate seal along the tailgate. So I did get a seal kit. It's foam, it just sticks on there. So the tailgate is sealed up, so no dust or anything is going to go in the camper while I'm driving down a dirt road. But let me get this measurement for you guys really quickly. 69 inches to the inside. And like I said, 31 across. So 31 inches wide, 69 inches total laying space. And one other neat thing is when I fold the tailgate up, I'll leave it down for now, but when I fold the tailgate up, this top surface actually works as a pillow. So if I want to lay my head right here on the tailgate and enjoy a bit of the sunshine, I can do that. And then the actual glass on the truck cap, I can angle and use that as a pair of sunglasses. So it filters out the sunlight so it's not too harsh. So that's kind of a neat little hack. So let's talk about this cabinet and what's going on. I'm just going to move over here and show you guys. If you guys look really closely, down here at the base is actually wider than the top. That is not a mistake. That was actually done intentionally. And I'll take a measurement for you guys. So at the top, we're looking at 6 7/8. At the bottom, we're at 7 1/4. So the reason why I tapered that is because if it were straight and I'd be walking into the truck, it feels really boxed in. It feels like a corridor trying to get in there. So the only way that I could alleviate that, because I couldn't push it in anymore because I would lose the depth of that cubby hole for the batteries. So I ended up actually tilting that wall back just a tiny bit, just to open it up a little bit more when you're gaining access into the camper. And then down back, it's actually squared up with this bed of the line of the bed is what I'm trying to say. I got my neighbor mowing his lawn for like the 5th time in like the last 2 days, and it's driving me insane right now. So I'm trying not to listen to the lawnmower and trying to keep my head in the game here. So that is the reason for that. It opens up that walkway to initially get into the camper. It'll make a little bit more sense when I start talking about this area, because in a previous episode I mentioned that's a neat little spot to sit down and put your shoes. I hope nobody took me serious because I was actually joking. I was just pulling your leg. There is a reason for that, and I think now that I've said that, many of you probably know what Lone Wolf does. I do put my shoes there now. It's summertime. I put my shoes there now. I do sit down. I put the battery bank on there. But we'll cover that when we get to the toy segment of this video. For now, this is the camper. The build process is basically completed. As far as the woodwork goes, like I said, I still have to finish the inside of this cabinet area and get the actuators on there. A couple small things here and there. But as far as cutting wood and adding things, it is basically done. It's all clear coated. Very nice. I did sleep outside in this twice so far, and it is an absolute dream. So, let's talk about the toys. Okay guys, here we have just a few toys that are going to be going inside of the truck camper. Now I know everyone is staring at this stove, and we're going to get to that in a minute because you're probably thinking that's a little bit crazy. It's not as crazy as you might think. So let's just move this out of the way. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So I did pick up a fan from my local Walmart. This is a Honeywell fan, and it articulates. Very nice fan. It runs on 3 speeds, and it just has a regular household plug. This is going to be my air circulation. So in the summertime when it's very hot in here, I can open up the windows, but let's say it's raining and I can't open the windows because all the rain's just going to come in. I could turn this fan on and crank it and have a lot of comfort with this. And this will also work in the wintertime as well to circulate a lot of heat. Of course, I don't need this big fan in the wintertime to circulate heat. I could buy a smaller fan and put that in here as well. So I do have a fan that is going in here, and this is basically going to go up on this table unit up towards the head end. And like I said, I can articulate it, tilt it whichever direction I need to. So that is my fan of choice. It was like 20 bucks at Walmart Canadian, so really happy with that purchase. The second thing is lighting. So for lighting in the truck, I picked up 2 identical kits of this, and this is basically an LED light strip. Now when I purchased this, there were a few things that I needed to have. One, I needed linear footage. So this is 30 foot, 16 each. There are 2 separate strips here, and it does come with a remote. So color changing, I pick whatever color I want, whatever fade cycle, flash, on, off, anything I want to do right here on the remote. It also comes with a bunch of little attachments, because we all know these sticky kind of light strips, they never stick. They never stick to anything, they fall off. So this actually has plastic clips that I can secure into the wood with screws, and that'll hold it. I'm going to be doing a full install video on all of this. So with the stove, I'll be doing a full install video of that. The lighting, everything will have its own separate video. Today's just kind of an overview showing you what's to come. Now, when I picked up this lighting kit, it was really important for me to have 2 light strips running on 1 power module, running on 1 remote. I'll cover that in that video of the install, but this is basically going to be the lighting. I'm going to be snaking this strip lighting all around the truck in some discrete areas, so it'll actually help light up the truck for filming purposes and for comfort and enjoyment. So that's the lighting. I also grabbed a few extension cables so I can have the power unit centrally located, and then I can just run these extension cables into the power module and kind of have everything laid out so I don't have to be chasing where do I have to plug it in and all that nonsense. So that's the idea with the lighting. It's going to be all done with LED strip lights. And then I do have a couple of other directional light pods that are going to be going in here as well for filming, because we're going to be starting live stream videos in the truck. I haven't worked out all the details. Probably 1 day a week I'm going to do a live stream on various topics, and this is basically going to be the studio for that. So kind of a neat little idea to come. More details on that in the future. Let's talk about power. So obviously powering the truck, I am going to be using quite a few batteries. So I'm not tying this into the alternator or the truck battery. I'd get that out of the way right now. I don't want to go through the hassle of doing that, and secondly, I don't want to accidentally kill my battery and then end up with a truck that I can't start in the middle of nowhere. So that's not going to fly with me. So I wanted to keep this simple, and remember back in the beginning of the build series I mentioned it's going to be a truck camper build that anybody can do. So far everything I've done anybody can do. All the tools that I've used to make this was an air nailer, a circular saw, and a corded drill. That's pretty basic stuff. So all this went together really well with glues, screws, nails, all that stuff. It is permanent. It does not come out, so I did decide on making it permanent, so it is fixed. However, as you can see, there's still loads of room back here to do regular hauling of items if I need to put things back here, such as groceries. If I've got the children up front in the truck, I still have enough room back here to do things. So back to the power, I wanted this camper to be self-sufficient, literally off the grid, even off of the truck grid. So it's not tapped into the truck at all. I have a number of these batteries. So between my small, medium, and then my larger batteries, and I have another battery on the way that'll be a totally different episode, because I actually do have a refrigerator that is part of this truck camper. It's not in here, so the design actually changed quite a bit. It was supposed to be in here originally. It's now in the back seat, and I'll show you the setup in the back seat of the truck in just a bit, but this is all going to be powered by battery units. So this battery unit primarily is most likely going to be used for the lighting of the camper, and charging a couple USB items And then my other EcoFlow battery is going to be like the brunt of the power, and that'll run the fan and a couple of other toys that I'm going to have back here. So most likely I'll only have 2 batteries in the camper, maybe even 1 depending on the time of year or the trip, kind of the details of the trip basically. And this little guy is just in here now. It's just a fun little thing to have in here. But I'm most likely going to be running 2 battery units back here, and then 1 big battery unit in the back seat of the truck, which is going to power the refrigerator. And then that will also be my method of recharging these when I don't have access to solar power or wind power or water power, because all of those devices are also going to be stored in here so I can recharge. And then there will be an addition of a full solar panel, most likely going up on the roof, which is then going to have a gland, and those wires are going to run inside of the truck cab, and they're permanently going to be dangling up towards the head end of the bed. And then whenever I need to charge something, I can literally grab that wire, plug it in, charge. I can then lock up my truck and go fishing or go hiking, come back. Everything's safe and secure inside of the truck, and hopefully we have a fully charged battery for the evening. If not, I do have additional foldable solar panels that I can just lay out around the campsite or even hang off the hatch, throw on the roof, whatever I need to do, throw them on the tailgate, and then plug in and charge multiple batteries that way. So that is how I'm powering the truck camper. I know that's a lot of information, but I'm going to be powering it with battery units, and I will have more information on what it's going to look like for the wiring when that time comes. So let's talk about the wood stove, because this is definitely excuse me, this is definitely a portion of this that many people are probably scratching their head. Some people, you probably already know that these are commercially available for trucks and vans. So not this particular stove, but there are companies that build wood stoves specifically for going inside of trucks and small camper vans, even RVs, all kinds of stuff. And they're very safe. They do work very safe. Now this stove is my stand-in stove, because I am eventually getting a custom-made stove that is currently being made, and it will be shipped out, and that is going to go here permanently. But for now, I have my Pamali T1 Mini 3. So this is the mini stove, and basically it's going to sit there just like that. Now under this hatch, I do currently have a couple pieces of metal that I've got cut. Grab these out of here. So I did make a heat shield. Now this is all rusty. I still need to grind it down and paint it up nice and pretty. And basically that's going to go on the back side just like that, with probably a 1-inch spacer of studs to keep it off of the wood. And then there will be another heat shield on this wood surface just to the edge of the wood. And on the tailgate there will be a heat shield as well. So when I shut the tailgate, the stove will be completely surrounded by heat shields. And then underneath I'm going to be putting brick. So I'm going to put some nice brick down there for 2 reasons: to protect the bottom and to retain a lot of heat when the stove damps down. Now this stove is a little bit bigger than the stove that is going to be in here permanently, but this is a great stand-in and it will still work. I am going to be using this until I get that large stove. That is until it gets too hot in summertime to use, and then I'll just take it out. And then I will be using this as a shoe storage, like I kind of tricked you guys in previous episodes. So there is a wood stove going in here. This is going to be heating the truck. I do have a couple pieces of pipe that I've been playing around mocking it up so far. I have a 45-degree angle. So this is stainless steel pipe. This is not titanium. And basically what I've got going on is this 45-degree angle pipe will go on there. And then I'm going to have another 45-degree angle piece here, which is then going to go up and straight out the roof. There are many details that I still have to cover with this, and that's why I'm going to be doing a total separate video on the install and how I got the stovepipe to go nice and clean out the chimney. That piece is on order. I'm hoping it arrives in the mail shortly, and then I can do this video. And then I had another piece here that I was mocking up. So this is just a 90 and a 90 put together, and kind of orientate this. This was another mock-up process that I had, and of course this would be rigid once it's out the roof, but I'm not going with that. I am going with the 45-degree angles. It's just a way cleaner of a setup, and that'll be fixed on there just like that. So when I'm inside of the camper, this will all throw nice glow of orange light from the wood stove. Damping this down will heat this camper very, very hot. Now I'm going to talk about fuel and safety with this just real quick, and like I said, I'm going to have a video on this in the future, but let me just show you the fuel type that I'm going to be using, which is stored under here. Alright, so opening up this cabinet, remember when I said I'm going to have compartments under here? Of course they're not done just yet, but the fuel source is going to be these bio bricks, and they're going to stack in there nice and neatly. I'll have enough room. I'm probably going to lay them down flat. I'll have enough room for probably 24 of these on hand. And I've used these many times on the channel in various videos. These burn extremely hot and extremely long compared to actual hardwood. These things are amazing in wood stoves. Now I can get these at my local store, 12 of them for $4, maybe $5, depending on the week. These work incredibly well, so I'm going to be storing these underneath the bed as fuel. And basically, if I'm out camping and it's wintertime before nighttime, I would take 3 of these and I would just set them down on the floor in an area that I can clean with a broom, just to kind of keep the camper tidy. And then that's what I would use overnight. So I would just simply open up the stove door, toss one in. These burn extremely long, so having one of these in here damped down, so having the stove really damped down, will definitely heat the truck camper. And one of these can burn to 4 to 4.5 hours long. That's a very long time, and it basically turns into a big chunk of coals, and it glows red hot. These things are amazing. I love using them. So that is the fuel choice, the primary fuel choice. Now, of course, I can still cut wood and bring it in, but I don't want a bunch of wood inside the truck camper, and that's why I went with this. Something real clean, real simple, I can put in the truck, keep here on hand. And then if I do want to cut a couple pieces, and I've got the tailgate down and the wood stove's going, I got a kettle on top, I can reach in, put a piece of wood in there, do whatever I got to do. But this is extremely safe when done properly. Couple safety things. Obviously, we need airflow. We need carbon CO2 monitor in here, and making sure that the pipe exits the truck cap safely. It's not going to create any melting or smoking. Adequate room between the wood, so that's where the heat shield comes into play. And it's going to be trial and error at first, getting it in there to make sure everything works nicely. And of course, the finished stove is actually going to be smaller than this, so there will be more clearance tolerances in the end. But this is basically how the truck is going to be heated, and I'm also going to be using it as cooking. So it's right above the window area, so if I want to open the window to vent out some air, remember I said I got the fan here, I could push the hot air out of the truck. I can open up the glass door on a nice day and vent out some of the heat. I could damp it down to control the heat. There are loads of options with the wood stove. And the reason why I chose to go with a wood stove is a couple of reasons. One, I have a lot of wood stoves. Wood stoves on this channel, I do a lot of hot tenting. These are very, very popular on my channel, and I know wood heat. I'm very comfortable with wood heat. I thought about the diesel heater, electric, all kinds of different options, and this is what I landed on. For one, cost, I already have it. I have a lot of them. And 2, I'm very comfortable with it. And 3, the fuel is readily available. I mean, I can't just go out to a tree and gather up propane or gather up diesel, and I don't want to carry a whole bunch of liquid fuel and all that nastiness. So this is just a nice, clean, eco-friendly way of burning wood dust. This is sawdust, or just burning wood instead of spitting out fumes from diesel or propane and all that stuff, because the truck does enough of that in itself. So that's my choice for heat. More on this in future episodes, of course. Absolutely going to do a very in-depth installation video on how the pipe goes out the top, because I did find a product on Amazon that works absolutely perfectly. So that is basically where we're at with the camper build. I'll show you the floor space just on a straight-on angle to show you what I've got going on down here. Get this put away and talk about the floor area a little bit and how it's going to be used, and then we'll wrap this video up. Okay, so real quick, just before I forget to show you guys the back seat and the fridge placement and the mattress storage area, I'll take care of that right now. I'm going to get this mattress out of the way, and you can see what I've got going on here for fridge storage, as well as an additional battery placement to run the fridge and to charge other batteries with. So there you guys can see the deck system that I'm talking about. This is all factory built into the truck, and the storage underneath, the storage on top. I got a wool blanket on it now, but just really nice clean setup. My larger battery will go right here, tying into the fridge, and then the other side of the truck will be access to gain inside of the truck to get other various items that I need. Very nice clean setup. So that's the reason why I decided to put the refrigerator in the truck as opposed to chewing up room inside of the camper. Okay, so for the center aisle floor, I did put these foam mats down, and I did not fix them at all, so they do come out totally easily, and then you can just basically clean everything out. The floor is completely Varathane, just like everything else, so it is waterproof, and even around the edges of the trim is also taken care of. Now, it's really dirty in here now because I've been working a lot, but this is basically going to be treated like an apartment. When I come in, shoes off, come in, put slippers on if it's winter time, or just wear socks. The reason why I didn't fix this to the floor is because in the summertime, this is going to be nice and cool to the touch. Which leads me to the next thing I want to talk about is there is no insulation in this camper at all. I purposely left a lot of empty voids. Underneath of here is totally not accessible, big air cavity. The sideboard behind that is a large air cavity. A lot of air circulation coming into here. So it'll help cool the camper, but in the wintertime, this guy is going to heat this like no problem at all. That is going to work awesome. So for the floor area, there were a couple things with this. Now remember when I said I can sit down here? So if I'm sitting down here nice and comfortably, my feet are nice and warm right where that wood stove is. So that's going to work out nicely. Second thing is, this area is large enough that my children can actually sleep down here. So we'll put down a sleeping pad. Obviously, they're not going to be sleeping on the floor when the wood stove's in here. That's a no-no. Which is why I went with a full-size bed. So me and my girlfriend fit in here perfectly fine. So if we're out camping together, she can also fit in the bed. My children fit in the bed with me. So likely I'd probably put my children on the back side, and then I would take the edge. If the stove is in here, that is a huge danger of heat. So there is enough room in here for multiple people to sleep. If I wanted to, I could do the table situation here that I had. I could extend it and make basically a bunk so people could sleep on top to extend that bed. I'm not really into that. I wanted to keep it nice and functional. This area gets used probably the most out of the entire truck. I'm sitting here right now lounging as opposed to sitting on the bed. If I sit on the bed, I still have to duck. Right now, I don't have to duck, but once the mattress is on here, I do have to hunch over a little bit like this, which is not a problem because if you're reaching for the table or doing stuff, you're already reaching, so it works really good for that. If I need to reach over and open up the window, no problem. But this area gets used a ton for comfort. So even if I'm down on my knee here and I need to reach underneath, it's nice to have a nice room, a bit of room under here to do that with. I store my backpack up at the other end. If I'm out hiking, I put my stuff there. All kinds of room back here. So that's the idea with the flooring areas. I wanted it nice and wide. And this flooring is removable, so if I do need to replace it or clean it or sweep out underneath, I can do so. As well as temperature control, because this does get nice and cool to the touch. Right now it's nice and cool. So on a hot summer day, it's rather nice having a cool floor rather than the foam insulated, and it's still comfortable. So that basically wraps up the camper. I know that's a lot of information, a lot of toys that we talked about. There are other things that are going to be coming to the build, but I just wanted to do this video to bring everybody up to speed as to what has been done, what's coming, and just to kind of give you a video in between those videos. So this is kind of a buffer in between video to bring everybody up to speed, show you what's going on, what I did, and so far I'm absolutely loving it. This is like a mini apartment. It's basically a studio wherever I want it. So I was out at the lake just last week sitting in here, and I had the lake right where the camera is. I backed the truck up right to the edge. Absolutely incredible. I had my coffee up here in the morning. The birds were chirping. The mist off the lake was literally rolling into the back of the truck. It was incredible. So this is going to be an awesome little living space in the backcountry for traveling and having fun and getting the kids out a little bit more. So I hope this helps you guys. One last thing I didn't cover is, before I let you guys go, is the shelving unit up top. So use this as a prop. There is a generous shelving unit all the way around the top. Also all the way behind me. So up here, if I had any kind of bits or pieces, that's all storage. So there's a nice channel up here, as well as the table, as well as a channel over here. So there's all kinds of shelves to mount things, which makes it really easy to stay organized, because with me, organization is always number one. I like a nice tidy area, and I think this is going to work out really well. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. You guys saw the bedding, the heating, the cooling, the powering. we're going to be getting in depth with this stuff very shortly. So I think the next video I'm going to be doing is going to be the lighting installation. I'm going to get all this lighting stuff out here, get it all wired in, and then wire it to the battery and show you guys what it looks like. So that's all I got for you guys today. Catch you in the next video, guys. Peace out.